What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the VO2 Max channel. Today we're getting back into it, and we're gonna keep discussing our. I guess you can see my Spotify open up there. Hopefully this doesn't get copyright stricken. I'm gonna open that up. Might be a little too loud. There we go. Yeah, hopefully this doesn't get copyright stricken. Just didn't want to have it be completely silent while we're talking about this. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about some more of the Diablo IV updates. In our last video, we talked about the launch. We watched the gameplay showcase here. We kind of broke it down, not frame by frame, but we kind of broke it down a little bit. We talked about how I kind of want to see the skills and the attributes work together. Now, whether or not that happens it's not up to me. So that's just what my wish list would be. But no, I figured today we'll get back into it here. We've got more stuff to talk about. They announced the Necromancer as the fifth and final character at launch that we'll be able to play with. So that's really cool. Necromancer gets a little bit of love here. The Necromancer was always a DLC, or has been in the past. I shouldn't say is always. It's only 2 games. There's not really a whole lot of data points to go by. There. This is a cool picture too. I like this. I'm a big fan of this. Alright, so here we go. Introducing the Necromancer. As a priest of Rathma, known by outsiders as a Necromancer, the word death evokes a sensation of power, potentially even the excitement when it graces their ear. These legendary summoners bend blood, bone, and darkness to their will, and subjugate the ranks of the undead to carry out their bidding. Unknowing adversaries who pick a fight with this death-defying class will quickly learn that they've made a grave mistake. Ha ha ha! Grave mistake, for they are darkness in its wake. We have a casket full of news to share with you around how the Necromancer class will decimate and about how the Necromancer class will not decimate and reanimate demons in Diablo IV. Take a gander at our June 22 Diablo IV quarterly update blog coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific to learn more about the class's new mechanics, such as the Book of the Dead, with lead class designer Adam Jackson. Yeah. Just so that everybody knows, decimate does not mean what you all think it means. It means to reduce by 1/10. It means if you have an army of 100, it would be reduced down to 90. Decimate does not mean to completely obliterate. That's what obliterate means. Decimate means to reduce an army's strength by 1/10. So decimate. If you had a build that decimated, it would be a terrible build. You'd be killing 10% of shit. It'd be terrible. You don't want a build that decimates. It's a cool word. It sounds cooler, and I wish it was the other way. I wish decimate means to reduce by 90%, to leave only 10%. But that's not what it means. Decimate means to reduce by 1/10. So, which is too bad because it's a cool word. This looks really nice. Again, I'm a big fan of the art style that they're going for here. And this is a reasonable amount of contrast for me. There's still a little bit there's some shadows, there's a couple light sources here, it's daytime, right? Each character has a little bit of something going on. The grass is all dry, you don't need too much color, but even on this tree there's a little bit of green there. You don't need too much, just little splashes of it here and there to break the monotony. So no, this looks good. There's even reflections down in it's like water or something down here. You decide. At the heart of Diablo IV is player choice. There's no one singular way to play the game. Players will carve their own path forward, shaping their destiny in a non-linear way of their choosing. This ethos extends to character customization, player skills, exploration of Diablo IV's shared open world, social systems, and of course the endgame. Let's dive into these gameplay systems and some of the choices they provide. Character customization. The denizens of Sanctuary are a diverse people. We wanted this same diversity to be reflected in the hero you bring to life, and thus, whether you set off into Diablo IV as a barbarian, a druid, necromancer, rogue, or sorceress, you will be greeted by a fleshed out character customizer offering a plethora of options. This level of player choice doesn't just reside in aesthetics, it is also seen in the expansive skill trees for every class, each offering endless ways to rip through the burning hell's forces with your hero. Okay, so it seems like it's going to be more based on skill trees, not necessarily based on the way that I would like to see it. Not that my way is the right way, let's be very clear about that. It's just a way that I thought would be kind of cool to give you customization while also using the systems that are already in place. The attribute, this attribute plus combat skills to unlock your runes here. Yeah, so again, just because I have an idea doesn't mean it's the right way. These people are game designers. I'm gonna take what they do first before I poo-poo it. See, this is lacking a little contrast. This is kind of what I was talking about. You can see what's going on, but everything's just kind of gray. There's only a couple little things, but this looks like some kind of big pit that you're gonna have to go in, which is pretty cool. And I get it, this is not final. This is in development content. Some of those saturation and color things, they can probably adjust that easily. Explore your way. As we said, there's no singular way to traverse Sanctuary in Diablo IV. We leave that up to your motivations. The world is vast in scale, home to frigid mountain ranges, sand-swept canyons, plague lands bubbling with pestilence, and many other biomes, all with no shortage of demonic dangers to encounter and secrets to uncover. You won't simply traverse through an empty world in Diablo IV. Every inch is built for combat. And there's verticality too, which is I'm really looking forward to that part. How you can go up ladders and down. We saw the barbarian do the Sparta kick and kick that guy off. As you navigate around, taking notice of the wounds Lilith's return has inflicted upon the land, you will encounter a new type of evil, strongholds. These are locations the burning hell's minions have claimed for themselves, casting a shadow of darkness upon you for them to for you to lift. Clearing out strongholds will bring about permanent change to these locations, repopulating them with non-demonic life and rewarding you with loot. Clearing a stronghold may also reveal new dungeons to delve into and other hidden experiences. Speaking of dungeons, Diablo IV contains almost 150 detailed dungeons, close quarter experiences for you to root out evil throughout the main quest line and beyond. Each time you step foot in a dungeon, its layout and distribution of adversaries will vary, keeping the challenge alive while still allowing you to strategize a way to overcome the dangers within. Sorry, my mouth isn't quite working. It's first thing in the morning here. Sanctuary is alive with demons to dispose of. Aside from dangerous dungeons and heavily defended strongholds, there are also local events to be completed solo or with a team in the name of glory and rewards. And for daring heroes craving an especially hardy challenge, towering world bosses roam the world with a desire to end those who oppose them. Band together with fellow defenders of Sanctuary to topple these nightmarish titans. Yeah, I just hope that there's more than 3. I heard somebody say that there's 3 bosses. And I was like, that doesn't sound very good already. I was hoping that there'd be, as I said in the video yesterday, 3 areas per biome, or per main area, where a boss could spawn, and only one boss will spawn in one of these 3 areas. So you have to kind of figure out where these bosses are going to spawn, but then it's one of however many these massive demons that could show up. That's something that I'd like to see. Okay, so social systems. Teaming up with other heroes to rid Sanctuary of bloodthirsty demons or going head-to-head against them in combat has long been a staple of the Diablo experience. Diablo IV will continue this tradition by offering both fulfilling PvP and PvE and PvP experiences. Providing players with the option to pursue Lilith on their own or with the aid of others is just another way new players have additional agency when playing Diablo IV. To make demon slaying with friends a breeze, we have rebuilt the party forming experience so that regardless of character levels or where you may be within a particular quest line, you can still band together. This is also our intended experience for players on different platforms looking to cleanse Sanctuary of Evil together. I'm really looking forward to that. It's about time games actually have crossplay. Come on. It's 2022. I'm pretty sure we can get this done here. If you guys just work together. Instead of, this comes down to Microsoft because they own Xbox. Microsoft. Oh, and guess what? You also own PC. Weird. So maybe at least those two can talk to each other. And I get it. If Xbox and PlayStation can't get their shit worked out, I understand that. But at least Xbox and PC get it worked out. But hopefully we'll have full PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch. I don't know if this is coming to Switch. No, I don't think it is coming to Switch. But maybe on the next generation of Nintendo. That would be awesome. You could play with anybody, anywhere, on any platform. That's good for the community. Connectivity is good for the community. But if vanquishing hordes of demons with other players is not your preference, you may prefer a more mortal opponent. Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, forever looking to instigate a skirmish, has cursed specific areas of Sanctuary, transforming them into fields of hatred. Here his influence pits mortal versus mortal in designated PvP zones. If you give in to Mephisto's temptation by marking yourself hostile, you open yourself up to facing the full furies of others who are marked hostile. But should you be successful in striking down your opponent, the spoils shall be yours to claim. These zones are not for the faint of heart, rather for heroes looking to bring renown to their name through blood and zeal. And that's cool. So that's going to be kind of like the dark zones from the Division. I'm into that. I like the fact that you have to mark yourself first. Although in Diablo, you might not need to do that. Whereas in the Division, you can literally be sitting there, and it happened to me many, many, many times. I'm sitting there shooting. I could even be taking place in a manhunt against another enemy, and somebody would run in front of you, and you have no chance to they would just run in front of you, no chance to stop. Now all of a sudden you're the bad guy because you shot at a friendly. Even though they ran in front of you, I'm now the bad guy, and now everybody's shooting me. What the fuck is going on? That's not what I wanted here. That's not the experience I wanted. Even if I was just shooting NPCs and I'd have people do that. Just whether it was intentional or not is irrelevant. It was probably intentional, but that's not the point. The point is, it was a pain in the ass. So they eventually implemented a system where you need to mark yourself as, hey, I am intending to go rogue. Not necessarily that I'm going to shoot you, but I'm going to go rogue, and then now I'm open to attacks. Because there's all sorts of things. I wanted to just go into the dark zones. I don't like PvP particularly, but I think it is good for a game if you can balance around it correctly. But yeah, so for me, it was nice to have a button where if I intend to do this, then I will say that. Versus just becoming the bad guy all of a sudden because of nothing that I could have possibly avoided. That's kind of gross. But point is, I don't know if you need that in Diablo. I don't know. I'm not saying we do or don't. I don't know. I'm trying to think about in a zone where you're doing also PvE, and if this is a PvP only zone, if there's no monsters or anything, then I don't think you need to mark yourself. But we'll see what happens. Again, things can change. Closing the endgame offerings. Closing the final chapter of Diablo IV's main story will be a monumental moment, but it will certainly not signify the end of your hero's journey. We want players to see the endgame of Diablo IV as a new beginning, filled with quite a few decisions ahead on what to experience next. First, you might try to take on nightmare dungeons. transformed and teeming with enhanced demonic dangers and added difficulty in the form of new objectives and added afflictions to the dungeon. Perhaps you want to branch off in another direction, say, place down roots for your future. Look no further than the Tree of Whispers, an endgame system that will provide you with frequently cycling world objectives and bounties that reward you with legendary gear, experience, crafting materials, and more. In Sanctuary, there's an unrelenting, ever-present danger waiting for you at every turn. To best whatever the burning hells may throw your way, you must grow stronger. Once you reach max level, Paragon board will unlock, and with it, hundreds of optional paths to further customize your hero's build. So long as it's not like the Paragon system from Diablo 3, we'll be okay. We thank you for joining us around the campfire to learn more about what is coming in Diablo 4. As we march forward to our 2023 launch, additional parcels of information will manifest from the darkness. Keep an eye out for future quarterly updates and blogs. We bid thee farewell for now. The Diablo 4 team. Nice. Okay, so we did all that. I did want to talk about the Necromancer, though. I think this is... Yeah, here's the Necromancer trailer. Okay, we'll read this real quick. So this is the Diablo 4 quarterly update, June 2022. Hello and welcome to the mid-year quarterly update. We hope you enjoyed last quarter's behind-the-scenes look at the art of Sanctuary and its dungeons. That blog and our previous updates are available. Let's just not even talk about that right now. Today we're going to look at the final launch class, the Necromancer. Now that it's been announced on the big screen, we can jump into some of the grittier details and mechanics of the class. You can think of this blog as a companion to that announcement, with our lead class designer Adam Jackson doing a deep dive into the core playstyles of the Necromancer, some of its skills, and its unique class mechanic, Book of the Dead. We'll also look at a selection of the incredible armor and weapons that Necromancers can use. Diablo 4 is committed, or just call it D4. D4 is committed to the principles of player choice. It shapes how we approach many of our systems, from character customization to the density and layout of our open world to the design of our classes and builds. As you'll see below, the Book of the Dead focuses on this idea of choice and what kind of Necromancer you want to be. We hope that you enjoy this update and look forward to your thoughts and reactions. Later this year, you can expect to hear more about how we plan to support Diablo 4 after launch, including our plans for seasons. We're grateful to have you with us on this journey. Interesting. Seasons. And I mean, I guess that makes sense. We can reset ladders. I mean, there's seasons in Diablo 2. There's seasons in Diablo 3. Why wouldn't we have it in D4? So that's cool. Okay. And hopefully we're not getting copyright stricken here. I'll turn my camera off, actually.
I speak now to those who heed a darker call.
Ugh. Gross. Corpse explosion.
Those bold enough to cross the line of sin for deeper knowledge. Who follow an unquenchable yearning, born of blood and bone. To unlock the forbidden secrets and foulest black rituals, calling forth life from death. My family, my soul.
Yikes.
To truly embrace this power, you must take it into the world. And you will be shunned, scorned, marked as a living sacrifice to this profane knowledge. You will be a priest of Rathma, A Necromancer.
It's a very cool character model.
And you will not confront the darkness alone. We are the speakers of the dead. And the dead have no mercy.
That big one in the back, that looks fucking cool. Yo, that looks dope. Yeah, that big one in the back. That was very cool. I suppose I can turn the camera back on. That was some kind of like... Yeah, this guy right here. Some kind of gargantuan monster thing. Maybe he was a barbarian. I don't know. Greetings, heroes of Sanctuary. Today we are thrilled to announce that a new fan favorite, the Necromancer, is once again returning to slay and subjugate their enemies with necrotic magics. We had a blast working on this iconic class, and we can't wait to get it into your hands. We know that the Necromancer has a storied history in our franchise, and we are taking a lot of care to give players an experience that lives up to the hype. We have also spent a considerable amount of time making sure that fans of D2, D3, and Diablo Immortal versions of the Necromancer see something familiar with what we have to offer, while at the same time creating something unique for D4. Read on to see what the Necromancer is all about. Class features, playstyles, Book of the Dead, and final thoughts. So, okay, that's cool. So, class features. Yeah, that's cool. So, yeah, historically, at least in the Diablo franchise, the Necromancer has been a DLC character. So it's kind of nice that this character is coming to us at launch. A lot of people love the Necromancer. I'm not huge on the Necromancer, but I've played a little bit before, and it's not bad. Like, I've got a really cool Bone Spear Necromancer in D2. Played a little bit in D3. Kind of the same thing. It was kind of a Bone Spear-esque thing, like a corpse explosion. Every time you kill something, you suck up the corpse and then fire out these massive bone spears. It was kind of a cool thing, but it was tough to play by yourself. But in a group, I think it would have done wonders. Class features. The Necromancer has two different types of resources that they use: Essence and Corpses. Essence is their primary resource, which restores itself automatically at a slow rate, like mana, I guess. Using basic skills on the Necromancer will also grant Essence, allowing them to cast their skills more often. Corpses, on the other hand, are the leftover remains of enemies who die near the Necromancer. These remains can be used to summon skeletal minions or to power various other skills, such as Corpse Explosion. In addition to appearing when enemies are killed near the Necromancer, corpses can also be generated via various effects, giving you additional control over how often you want to interact with them. While there will be plenty of corpses at a baseline level, we're aware that some players will want to lean into this resource, and as a result, we have included plenty of options to ensure that they are not left wanting. Which means, like, summoning some type of blood golem and then killing it. Now I have a corpse, then I can use that. I think that's kind of what they're driving at. It looks very Diablo 3-esque here. Not with all the crazy colors, but like similar art style. So I kind of like this. Not all Diablo 3 was bad. There was a lot of good things they did. We've got another video to watch. As far as weapons and other unique gear, Necromancers use swords, daggers, wands, focuses, and shields. In addition to these, they are also the only class that can use scythes. Okay. It's a bit of a bummer, but whatever. I'm not a big fan of that locking things. I don't mind like the heads or whatever, but I don't see why a barbarian couldn't use a scythe or a druid. Just my opinion. I don't see why we couldn't allow that. It looked very cool. Oh, this is the same model as the earlier one. She looks cool. I do like the way they're going with the armor. I hope the armor doesn't change a whole lot. Like, The thing I always hate about these CRPG games or these action adventure, whatever, anything that's based on gear, it seems like the more powerful you get, the more spiky shit is poking off. Like, no, some of these armors look the coolest. I'm a big fan of these. Like in Diablo 3, the more powerful you got, the more spiky shit was just poking off everywhere. But some of the earlier armor looked actually cool, and I was a big fan of it. Yeah, like, look at this. This guy looks dope. I would not want to see that. Some weird cultist. Yeah, this is so cool. And this could be one of the uniques for all we know. This I don't mind because it's just the pauldrons and the bracers. I don't mind that when it's tastefully done, but not everything needs to be spiky and huge and like this is cool. And again, it's not super spiky. Like if this is where it stops as far as spiky bits, I'll be okay with that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, hopefully they don't go, like I said, every time you kind of like level up or advance, you get more and more spiky shit, more and more. It's bigger and bigger and bigger and more gems and more like you don't need to do that. These are warriors. These aren't like princes and kings and emperors. These are warrior people, right? It still needs to make sense. Like the outfit right at the end there with the gold and all that. This, I think, is about where I'd like to see it stop. This looks really cool. I'm a big fan of this right here. Because it isn't super... It's hard to tell with two character models there. But the only spiky parts are the three there and a little bit on the helm. That's it. Even the bracers aren't really spiky and there's a little bit down on the legs, but it's tasteful. And there's tasteful amounts of gold and it's not even really gold. Like this is probably gold. This is more just bone color. So it's not even really gold anywhere, which is really nice. A couple little chains. That I like that. I'm a big fan of this character model right here. Or whatever this armor set might be. This is cool. And if this is like the highest of the high end, and this is what it's gonna look like, I'm in on that. Not like Diablo 3, some of the combat or some of the armors got just ridiculous looking. And even for like the sorceresses and druids and all that stuff. Like druid's supposed to be like, close to the earth. So I actually don't remember if there was a druid in D3, but additionally, what self-respecting necromancer will be running around the world of Sanctuary without curses? We're happy to say that you will be able to put these nasty debuffs on your enemies to your heart's content with skills like Decrepify and Iron Maiden making a return. Nice. So hopefully there's going to be builds where you can just be a support. Like if you want to play a support necromancer where you're doing maybe a couple of minions, but then you're casting out curses, that's going to be really cool. So playstyles. The necromancer has 4 high-level playstyles that players can choose between. These are Bone, Darkness, Blood, and the Army. Bone skills are relatively physical in nature and thus benefit more heavily from effects such as Critical Strike. These skills also benefit from having and spending large amounts of essence, as they have various effects that can cause each of their individual attacks to be even more powerful. Bone Spirit is back in D4, and it now has a unique twist that exemplifies what Bone skills are all about. Bone Spirit not only has a cooldown, but also consumes all essence the player currently has. Once cast, the Spirit of Bone is conjured that seeks out the nearest enemy. Upon reaching them, the spirit will explode, dealing a high amount of damage to the target and all other enemies in the area. This damage is increased by a certain percentage per point of essence spent, meaning that players who spend the maximum amount of essence will deal a significant amount of damage to enemies hit. The skill can also be upgraded so that when it critically strikes, its cooldown is significantly reduced, meaning that players who commit to generating lots of essence while also having a high crit strike chance will get a lot of damage from this skill. See, here's what I don't understand. Why Bone Spirit has a cooldown? If it is tied into the amount of essence that you have, and it's going to consume all of your essence, It doesn't need a cooldown. Your essence is your cooldown. If I want to generate a terrible bone spirit by using 5 essence or whatever, and maybe there's a minimum to it. Maybe it's a minimum cost of 20 out of 100. That means at 20, I'm going to get, but at 100%, that's my max damage. But maybe I want to fire another one out at 20%. Let me fire it out. Who cares? Why is it on a cooldown? Your essence is the cooldown. There's already a baked in cooldown. You don't need a cooldown on top of your essence cooldown. Don't need to do that. Another bone skill that necromancers will have access to is Bone Prison. When the player casts Bone Prison, they slam their weapon into the ground, calling forth a circular wall of bone to surround the targeted area or enemy. Enemies cannot move through this space while the Bone Prison persists, which makes it incredibly versatile and able to be combined with many other skills, even those that are not themed around bone. Bone Prison is great for blocking off hallways, trapping groups of enemies inside them, set up for an AoE attack, or for sectioning off a group of enemies to deal with later while you handle higher priority targets. Yeah, okay. So that was Bone Prison, and it looked like Bone Spirit. And again, Bone Spirit does not need to be on a cooldown. It's already on a cooldown. It's consuming all of your essence. Darkness skills. Yeah, darkness skills use shadow magic to overwhelm their enemies. These kinds of attacks tend to be damage over time based or attack multiple enemies in a short window, with various benefits and rewards being granted for damaging enemies in this way. Darkness skills also tend to have various debuffs and crowd control elements so that they can keep their enemies at bay while they die a slow, painful death. Decompose is a basic darkness that allows you to channel dark magic onto enemies, dealing damage to them while also generating essence. Unlike other basic skills, Decompose also periodically summons corpses, making it much easier to ensure that you have a steady supply on hand for use for summoning skeletons. Another darkness skill is Blight. Blight launches a ball of dark energy in a direction. Upon hitting an enemy or expiring, it deals an explosion of damage while leaving behind a defiled area. That's cool. Dealing periodic damage to enemies inside over time, like a poison thing. This skill also deals a high amount of damage to enemies who are standing in place, whether that's due to fighting your undead minions or to being contained via other skills like Bone Prison. Bone Prison is going to be super useful for those DOT. Okay. That's cool. Blood. I just wanted to have another look at that skill. Necromancers can also... Oh, maybe that's what this was. Maybe this was a... Oh no, Necromancer Dark. Okay. Necromancers can also use the power of blood magic to siphon the life from their enemies. Not only do these skills tend to have defensive-oriented benefits, they also have many ways to turn that defense into offense for the player, empowering them and rewarding them for having large amounts of maximum health, as well as keeping their current health total high. Blood Surge draws a small amount of blood from nearby enemies to the Necromancer that then expels a Blood Nova, dealing damage near the player's location. The damage of the Blood Nova is increased per enemy drained, which incentivizes you to be in the middle of the pack of enemies for maximum effect. Yeah, so there you go. So there's a different playstyle just for this different skill. Another blood skill is Blood Mist. Upon activation, the Necro disperses into a bloody mist, becoming temporarily immune to all damage while draining the life of any nearby enemies that they pass through. This is a universally powerful defensive skill that can give you the time you need to regroup in those dire moments where you become overwhelmed. That's cool. The army. As you would expect, Necros can summon the undead to do their bidding. We also allow players to socialize or specialize into empowering their armies as much as possible, which includes various kinds of skeletons as well as the classic golem. One advantage to this method of playing is that it can easily incorporate the benefits of bone, darkness, or blood skills, allowing you to have a great deal of customization to how you want to interact with your army. As an example, we believe it will be perfectly viable to have a player pursue a darkness-themed army build with Decompose as their basic skill to generate corpses, as there is an obvious synergy there. However, if the player wishes to generate corpses via other means, they can just as easily take a nostalgia trip in the year 2000 and just chuck bone spears at their enemies from a distance, while opting for all of the bone skill synergies that the Necromancer has to offer. And yeah, hopefully they're going to be doing some kind of synergy system. That would be cool, like Diablo 2. We went through a lot of iteration on how we want the experience of summoning the undead to feel for the player and how much of their skill bar should be dedicated to this part of the class. To that end, we've come up with what we feel is the best possible version to ensure that players have as much customization as possible over not only the army itself. Do we have any more? We have no more videos here. Okay, so we can go back to our Spotify. We have no more videos. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip right ahead. Without not only the army itself, but also in which other skills they want to use to support their own unique playstyle. If a player wants to have the maximum number of summoned units possible, then they will only have to dedicate 2 buttons to their skill bar, one to raising skeletons and the other for their golem. The raise skeleton button is a one-stop shop to raise all the different skeletons a player can summon, and the golem button is used to command the golem to use a unique effect that is dependent on the type of golem that is currently active. With this setup, we found a great balance between having the necessary tools for raising and commanding a Necromancer army, while also leaving room for player expression in what additional skills they want to put on their bar. Why not just let us put whatever skills we want to wherever we want? Okay. We'll keep reading here. I'm not sure. We can talk about that in a future video. Book of the Dead. Speaking of armies, what self-respecting necromancer isn't wandering around with one? Well, actually, that might be you. While we absolutely have the full support you would expect to fulfill all your undead summoning needs, we're also giving some love to players who want a more independent playstyle. Book of the Dead. Okay. Skeletal warriors, skeletal mages, blood golems. Cue the Book of the Dead, the Necromancer's unique class mechanic. Right from the moment you log in, you will start with an extra skill on your bar, Raise Skeleton. With this button, you will immediately be able to raise undead warriors to fight by your side. Okay, so this is an extra button. Okay, I could have specified that before. This is an extra button that other classes won't even have access to. Okay, I'm okay with that. In addition to this, you will have access to Book of the Dead. This is your space where you can customize your army or lack thereof with increasing options as you level your character. There are 3 customizable summons in this space: Skeletal Warriors, Mages, and the Golem. Each summon also has one of 3 specializations that you can choose from. As an example, you can have your Skeletal Warriors be Skirmishers, Defenders, or Reapers. Skirmishers are a more standard warrior but have increased damage and reduced health. Defenders have bonus health, and Reapers have slower attacks, deal damage in an AoE in front of them, and have a special wind-up attack that deals a high amount of damage. In addition to this, each specialized unit in the army has unique upgrades available to them, giving you even more customization over how each unit in their army functions in their overall playstyle. These units and upgrades will have synergies with the various playstyles mentioned above, as well as add other potential ways to play. That's cool. Yeah, this is interesting system here. So yeah, I could have my warriors be skirmishers, defenders, or reapers. There's upgrades to each one. Looks like you could get something when you sacrifice them. I'm not sure. In addition to all this customization, we have also added the ability for players to sacrifice different components of their army for personal benefits. Next to each unit type in the Book of the Dead is an extra option. Right here, sacrifice, right on the right side there. Sacrifice the ability to summon that unit in exchange for a personal permanent buff. These buffs are carefully designed and placed so that the players can mix and match, having none, some, or all the possible summon units, while still having relevant options to enhance their build, and not being crazy overpowered. Our goal with this system is that there should be something for everyone to be excited about. There are relevant, powerful options to choose from, whether players want to play with the full army, part of the army, or even those who wish to forego their army completely and play solo. We've had a blast playing with this system so far, and we're excited to see the various combinations that you all come with to push your Necromancers to the next level. Final thoughts. We are excited to be able to bring the Necromancer to D4, and we can't wait to get it into your hands. Whether you're a veteran player who's put in thousands of hours over many years, or a new adventurer in the world of Sanctuary, we hope you will have a lot of fun with what we've been able to create. As always, please leave us your feedback on what we've shown you so far. While we're confident that we're on the right track, we know that the best ideas and the best games are created with input from the community. Yes! Thank you all so much for your patience and for joining us on this epic journey through the world of Sanctuary. We promise it will be worth the wait. Adam Jackson, lead class designer. So, that's cool. I am excited. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this Necromancer thing. Yeah, show the Necro some love. I'm into it. I'm assuming that each class is going to have something different, kind of like how the Necromancer has this Book of the Dead, and they have an extra skill slot for them just raise skeletons and golems and all that. That's just an extra thing that they can inherently do. Whereas it looks like the Barbarian, he's inherently going to be able to carry different weapons and he's got an arsenal system. And the Sorceress will have an additional thing where she can, I don't know, cast spells or whatever. Like, maybe she has access to like an Easy Town portal, or she's got a book of spells that other characters can't have. I don't know. There's ways that they can do this, and I'm excited to see what they can come up with. All the different classes have a unique thing that they all do that is completely different to each class. I'm okay with that. I'm not so much keen on weapon locking. I don't particularly like that. I feel like as a barbarian player, I'd like to be able to use sides sometimes. Why? Because I want to. That's why. So why limit that? I hope that's one thing that they change, is the ability to unlock different weapons and all that. Well, that's kind of a cool feature over here on the side. I didn't realize there's a progress bar. If you scroll down, if you see where my cursor is, there's a little progress bar on the right side, and it keeps going up. That's cool. Okay, there we go. But yeah, with that, that's all I wanted to talk about today here. I just wanted to give you guys an update on our D4 stuff. We'll be getting back into Warhammer Chaos Gate probably in the next couple of days here. Again, it's just I've got these update videos I want to put out, and I don't have enough time to do all the different things, so Warhammer's gonna have to take a back seat for a couple of days here. With that, I want to thank you guys for hanging out. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button. All my socials are down below. Patreon, Discord, Instagram, all those good things. We've got new subscribers to the channel, so welcome in, you guys. Cheers. Thank you so much. Guys and gals, pals and gals, whoever you happen to be, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. And with that, I will catch you next time. Peace, YouTube.